Sometimes you have to do that because the easy challenge is one you'll get lazy with. The big challenge gets you hungry.
Oh, how the tables turn.
That's a heavy topic, and we need to focus on that. If not for yourself, then do it for your children.
Black book is in black.
Black
book.
Men Talk, Black Book. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. And I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that team, our team's reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And you're watching Black Men Can Talk, a show where Black Canadian men come together to have real, unfiltered conversations about life, culture, and community. And I'm with one of my co-hosts, the Honorable Kofi Sadat.
Hey, what's up, people? Having fun day on a Sunday. Beautiful to be here as usual. We have a beautiful show coming up for you.
Oh, yes. Everyone's good, though. Everyone is good.
Yeah, how you doing today, brother? How's it going?
I have had a very good, tired weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And you're probably going to say, what do you mean? Or if you're going to say, what do you mean, Dr. Vibe? Saturday morning, I had a chance to facilitate a session with about 35 men. And we celebrated Mother's Day or motherhood.
Nice. Love it.
And yeah, all I got to say is you had to be there. There were some gentlemen there who have been married to the same lady for 64 years.
Woo!
Another gentleman, 87 years old, married to the same lady for a long period. The conversations were deep, emotional. A lot of tears were shed. Many people left with their hearts full. I saw some of the men that attended yesterday, today, and they were saying, I haven't got this out of my head and my heart yet. And it was so deep. And then today, Carolyn Nicole, who runs a great organization called Energy Shot Juice Bar, had a plant-based expo in the Scarborough area.
Yeah, how was that? Did you attend?
Oh, I had to attend because a few people there who are entrepreneurs, I've provided support in different ways over the years, and it was really good. In the past, she's had her events at larger places, but it was nice to have a tighter space, so more people interaction. Had the honor and pleasure of meeting her parents, and that was really amazing. Her mother and her father separately. Her father said, your daughters have done, because there's 3 daughters. There's Carolyn, she has 2 sisters that help out too. And I said, sir, where my people come from, we say you're done good. And he had a big smile on his face in regards to that.
Wonderful.
It was so emotionally, it's been a very full weekend. My closest ride or die guy said, Dr. Vibe, you sound tired. I said, well, this is why. He says, I get it. So it's been a very full weekend, but very gratifying. And it's changed at least 1 or 2 things in my life I've changed because of yesterday with the men.
Nice. Well, I want to hear more about both of those things. I really wanted to go to the plant-based events in Scarborough. However,
okay,
I asked the question last week. How is my journey to do those 5 days or whatever for the year going? 1 is down. I'll call it 2. I did a 10K today.
What?
So I want to big up JCA, Jamaican Canadian Association. They held their annual walkathon to raise funds for their programs in the community, which was like they're doing everything from seniors to youth, mental health, some things with women and even the men. So I really want to give it up to JCA here in Toronto. The event was amazing. It was amazing events. When they said some of you can do 5K, some of you can do 10K. I chose the 10K a little bit
Hey,
warily.
you go for the gusto.
Yeah, but you know what I loved about it? I mean, it was just so just so community centric. You know, we walked together, you know, we ran, we walked, whoever wanted to do that. I got a chance to go to my own neighborhood. Originally, you know, I was from Jane and Finch.
Yeah.
Just kind of even walk in that neighborhood and see some of the changes that are coming, but also see the fact that, you know, it's community, and it's beautiful. So I, you know, want to give it up to you know, JC. They fed us well after, you know, hail up the folks who eat chicken. They had their jerk chicken, their barbecue
Oh.
vegetarian, so they're okay with that.
Well,
Uh,
at Carolyn's event, they had a guy vegetarian. He had full things of food. Like, I mean, full. It's on Broadview. I can't remember the name of the place, but he's on Broadview, and he brought all his stuff there, full
nice.
fledged.
Nice. So yeah, it was a good day. It's a good way to start your day. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we started early in the morning, and then you know, by the time we're finished, it was a lot more warm and everything like that. So I want to give it up to them. They had a lot of different organizations there as well. They did a little bit of a health fair. So I think there was like Black Creek that was there. They also had an organization called the Walnut Foundation.
Oh, yes, I know very
You
very
know,
well.
they
Yep.
focus on prostate health and education for men. So definitely, and they were mentioning about, you know, 76% of the folks that are impacted with prostate cancer, you know, it's from our community, right?
Yep.
So just a shout for folks to get your, you know, your things together if you haven't done it already, and to be mindful of that. But yeah, it was just great, you know, being around that space today, and to start the morning like that.
A number of conversation points growing from that. Do you know the name Patrick Morris?
I don't know the name Patrick Morris. Who's that?
Many years. Oh, what did they? Him. Oh, him and two other gentlemen. What was the organization they had many years ago? Black. Oh, I can't remember, but known
Yeah.
him off and on, and I've been included in a good WhatsApp chat that included himself, and he shared a link yesterday where his son interviewed him because he now has cancer.
Oh, wow.
And I was really touched by the conversation, and I asked him would he be interested in coming on the show, and he said absolutely.
Right. Okay.
Now, with you just mentioning about the prostate cancer, I don't know, I can't remember what form of cancer he has at the present. I'm speaking he's going to overcome it.
Right.
I think it's just a very good idea to have men from that look like us and what they're challenged with, especially with the C word,
Right.
cancer, sharing it was really. I'm trying to remember the name of the organization he was and was going back. Him and two other gentlemen were involved, and actually one of the gentlemen, I can't remember his name right now, is now a judge.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember.
It'll come to you. It'll come to you.
Oh, it's gonna bug me. I'm gonna see if I can do some research while the things are going on here. But it was really good to chat, just connect at least digitally with them. And I'm speaking that in the next few weeks we'll have them come on Black Men Can Talk to talk about a subject that Black men need to talk about.
Yeah. Can I mention one more thing? I just remembered.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I had I was so touched by this. So I had an opportunity to pour some libations and open up a Black Brilliance conference here in Toronto. So they focused on schools, mainly across Scarborough, but also across the city. And man, you know what? Yo, we're in good hands. Our young people were so insightful. You know, so it was beautiful to see them come out. They were engaged. They were from, you know, I don't know how many young people there were, but there probably was about, you know, at least 300 or so young people from across the city. So it's beautiful to see that. And what I liked about the conference, I would say in particular, I mean, there were some great speakers and so on, so, but all the workshops were done by the young people for young.
Wow. Nice.
right? And we're talking about, from melanin to music to mental health, a gambit of things, right? So I really want to kind of hail up the Center of Black Excellence here in Toronto for putting on that conference, Winston Churchill Collegiate Leonard Braithwaite program for hosting it. It was just remarkable. And you know what? I'm looking forward to next year's one or whatever they're doing this year. But again, support for the Center of Black Excellence here in Toronto. If you don't know it, look it up. It's part of TDSB. But yeah, it was really good. I want to hail up those young people. I think they did a great job, and they organized it as well. So that was wonderful.
Excellent. This is good. All right, we're gonna go to a break. We've had a let's say a posse full of people come in the green room.
All right,
Kofi Morris has arrived, and also
is here. All right, here we go.
We have Black Nerd Can Talk. We also have Sekou. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a short break. When we come back for the break, we'll get everybody up here. Then we'll start talking about our main conversation topic tonight. Hold tight. We got a posse coming on today, but we talked about food.
Five Blacks Restaurant Week, an amazing week, a flavorful week. We are eating good.
It's a national campaign created to promote Black-owned Canadian cuisine, food trucks, pop-up kitchens, and chefs.
Go out, taste the food, enjoy it, and get to know us and to get to know our culture.
Puts the spotlight on Black-owned dining establishments right across the country, not just here.
If you like your food, get ready for it. It's happening starting next week, and I'll be hanging out at some of the establishments, maybe doing some IG lives with all this crazy stuff going on, this food stuff. Also, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button, like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. If you want to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms I'm all part of, email me dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. And finally, join our Discord group, and there is conversations happening on it. If you want to join it, email me dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. I suggest we introduce people one at a time. So, Brother Kofi Morris, are you ready? You're not in camera, so I ain't bringing it up till you're ready. Are you ready? Give me the thumbs up. Okay. First up, Brother Kofi Morris. What is up? How you doing?
Peace and blessings, family. Faith everybody is well. Had a peaceful, joyful weekend, and all things are moving in your favor. I was just taking some time to off camera a minute to acknowledge the ancestors, because everything that we do, we stand on their shoulders. So I'm giving thanks, as Brother Paul just mentioned, libations. Something told me just take a moment and call some of their names. So I'm giving thanks, brother. Dr. Vibe, good to see you, brother. Good to see you.
How have you been?
I've been blessed, brother. I've been great, man. I don't know if you said how or where, but yeah, man.
Both.
Yeah, brother. The journey for Black men out here is it's not an easy one. So we gotta keep our faith, maintain consistency in the work that we're doing. So I'm thankful that I'm back in the space, and I'm looking forward to today's convo.
All right. Good.
It's such a long time since I've seen you. Like this.
I know. Like
I saw him yesterday, so I'm glad he's here today. So
up to date.
Yeah.
I think what we should also do is bring up two other young men that we have that are going to be hanging out with us tonight. Who do we bring up first?
Well, in eldership, let's bring up the Black Nerd. Let's bring up the Black Nerd.
All right. Black Nerd Talks. What is up?
How are you guys? This is my first time being here. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm glad to be here. At least I don't have to catch up on episodes on this one because
you're here.
I'm in it.
You're in it.
Good stuff. You want to share a little bit about yourself to our audience?
Sure. Let me pull that up.
Just speak from your heart. Don't have to do anything.
All right, cool.
Just do it, man.
All right. Yeah, so my name is Abera, originally from Montreal, moved here to Toronto in 2015. I've been doing community work since I lived in Montreal. And when I transitioned here to Toronto, I also have a background in esports, video game tournaments. I do a lot of work with, underserviced communities and youth. And, as I've gotten older, with some of the experiences I've been through, I've learned to focus and hone in on more of the support on racialized boys and men, in particular Black men and boys, which informs my content creation. Black Nerd Talks, where me and four of my other co-hosts, we look at nerd culture, nerd media, video games, anime, comic books, superheroes, but from a Black masculinity lens. So
love it.
Very nice. And then I don't know if this person's going to come up. I'm hoping they're going to at least turn their mic on.
Hello.
There we go. Who are you? Do you know anyone on this screen?
Yeah, I know everybody. My name's Sekou. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you.
Yeah, I'm a student. I own a fashion brand as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do community work. Just live day by day. Yeah.
And who are you related to on this screen?
So that is my dad.
All right. Well, good stuff. Good stuff.
And even that is connections, right? So definitely.
So I know Ab as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When I was in high school, Ab worked at the community center. Still active in my life to this day. So everyone, brother Kofi, I know Dr. Vibe. So yeah, just happy to be here again.
I one of the things I'm really humbled by this is an intergenerational conversation we're going to have tonight. This is really, and I think it may be a few generations, not just two.
Yeah.
And this is going to be really, really, really. So welcome, Frequency Event Promotions. Greetings, gentlemen. Someone says, Nicole says, that's Sekou. He sounds very good looking. You're so.
Hey.
All right. Well, today we're going to be having a conversation about a movie. Yes, a movie today. And I'm just going to set everything up for it as we get. Okay, bear with me because it takes a little bit of clicking to get done, but I'm going to set everything up now. So let's do this. Okay, we're going to do this. All right. No, I don't want to do that. Yes. Okay, we'll do it this way. All right, we're going to do it this. We'll play the trailer of this movie, and then we'll get into a conversation about it. So let's do that. All right, let's do this. And we are going to play the trailer. So here we go.
We've been gone a long time. Be back now. You twins? Nah, we cousins.
There are legends of people with the gift of making music so true. It can conjure spirits from the past and the future. This gift can bring fame and fortune.
Will somebody take me in your life?
But it also can pierce the veil between life and death.
Listen here, this ain't no house party. Shit.
Y'all ready to drink? Y'all ready to sweat till y'all stink?
You want some?
You keep dancing with the devil.
Careful, boy. You gonna bite off more than you can chew.
One day he's gonna follow you home.
You got us a problem, y'all.
What the hell going on?
Oh, we heard tale of a party. This world already left you for dead. I can save you from your fate.
You don't need no saving.
Yes, you do. And you are? I am. Your way out. Don't cry. It's all better now.
Yes, I lied to you. I don't believe in magic. Ghosts, demons, Just power.
Somebody please take me.
We gonna kill every last one of you.
I ain't mean to scare you. Thought y'all done forgot about me in here. Come on, open the door, let me on out of here.
Stay. That's you?
Of course it's me, open the door.
That ain't your brother.
Love to you.
Yo, smell anything? I think I shot myself.
All right, we are talking about the movie Sinners tonight. So we are looking forward to this conversation now. Just show alert. I have not seen the movie, but I believe all the rest of the gentlemen have. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes, sir.
So, gentlemen, I'm just going to start off the conversation. You can go deep because you guys have seen it. I haven't. So let me ask you, what's the central theme of this film?
Wow.
Before we go there, quickly, I want to say something. I'm glad you actually shared that, Dr. Vibe. I'm going to let the listeners know we're going to try our best, right, for this not to be, we're not going to spoil the film for people. I'm going to say that from the jump, just to say, for those that still haven't seen the film, we're going to be gentle with how we explore certain topics, and we're going to do our best to kind of skim around certain things without revealing too much, because we can do that on a future show. I just want to put that out there because it's still early. A lot of people still haven't seen it. So I wanted to kind of put that out there if everybody's cool with that, so we can provide opportunities still for people that have not seen it.
It's a good thing you said that, because I was gonna go.
Yeah,
I was gonna go in.
Kofi, I don't know if I'm in agreement, bro. We gave people some time. They're gonna have to see.
2 weeks is a long time, to be fair.
This is it. We gave you all some time. Answering that question. First of all, I want to hail up Eb, because Eb is the one that brought this topic, and we want to give you your flowers and your credit when it comes to talking about this film. Dr. Vibe, in answer to your question, strangely enough, in my perception, there is no central theme, and I think that is actually one of the beauties of the film itself. Right? It has so much levels to it that you could choose your own center. Put it that way, and there's many centers that are in this film. So, for folks who are listening, and no spoiler alert, it's not a one track kind of film where but that's my answer to it. I'm not sure what other folks would say about that.
Yeah, I personally agree. I went to go see it. Ironically enough, hopefully none of my family watches this. I went to see it ironically enough on Easter Sunday. So seeing Sinners on Jesus'
irony, brother, the irony.
Right? It was the only day we had open, so I was like, let's go see it. And that's some really good conversation between my wife and I. And then I also watched a breakdown from Dr. T.S. Johnson afterwards, Black Masculinity Professor. I found it made me think of some of the Dr. Vibe, you regularly have, I can't remember the rest of his name, but Cesar
Nadim Musa.
Yes. And now he talked about how religion can impede us as a people, and that's something that really resonated with me on the film as someone who grew up where it was wrong for me to like video games, especially till this day. That's my PlayStation 5 remote, and how that would tie into how jazz was seen and how it was like the devil's music and how it shouldn't be appreciated. And I was having a conversation with my wife about it in a sense of how there's culturally we are very much against change. It's coming to jazz and blues was the devil's music, hip hop at one point, high life music in Africa / Nigeria. If you did music, you're going to be a homeless person, you're going to be a bum. Comic books, video games, sports. Both my dad and my father-in-law were very good at basketball, but this was back in Africa in the 1950s and 60s. So you're supposed to stop those things, right? You're supposed to stop doing those things and focus on being a doctor, whatever it may be. But look how much soccer players are paid now, right? So I always made me think of like how we're often behind the curve.
Okay.
I think the topic of the movie or what it was about, I think it all tied back to spirituality and your spirit. Do you want me to expand on that or?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So although there was a lot of themes like racism, poverty, greed, just a lot of themes. All of them boil down to who you are in your core spirit, and that trickle down into like generational curses, luck or bad luck. So it really, to me, it really just had to do with your spirit and spirituality. So yeah, that's kind of my take on what it's about.
Just a break here. I just want to catch up on comments. Andre Jeremiah says, hello. Hello, Andre. Haven't seen your name before. Glad you are here.
I sent him the link.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Referral. There we go. Dr. Tachi, who is the driving force behind Indie Soup Media, which is an independent content creators platform. She's based in Fort Lauderdale, and her YouTube channel, Independent Content Creators, has over 26,000 subscribers in 13 months. And this is one of the shows that's on it. And I'm also a member of the advisory board. So that's good. She says, hello, all. Nicole says, how can you talk in depth without spoiling? That's going to be hard.
We're skillful like that.
Then we also have, she also says, the rule is have at least 2 Tuesdays gone by since it was released. 2 Tuesdays. That's generally accepted Black community rule, or maybe just Scarborough.
That's it.
Brother Kofi, what do you thought? What were you thinking about some of the themes?
Why? One of the things that hit me in watching this film was some of the taboo topics that we don't like to talk about, we don't like to touch on. And Eb kind of mentioned it just now, in terms of religion or spirituality, and how anything that has to do with Africa, anything that has to do with something connected to our spirituality, if it's non-Christian, is like a taboo topic. You can't get into that, A, B, C, and D. We're even afraid. People are even afraid of those things. And I'll get back to that a little bit later, but interracial relationships is up in there, redemption is up in there, acceptance, right, is up in there. Things that are, that challenge us as a community, where we're looking towards one another for answers to particular things that we haven't come to collective solutions about, but that we feel strongly about, that we can't move forward with because it's not socially acceptable. So those are some of the things that are like front and foremost for me. But going on to what Sekou mentioned, and hopefully we're gonna see him. We're gonna see Sekou today. Hopefully we're gonna see him. This piece around our spirituality in terms of traditional spirituality. Hoodoo specifically is spoken about and explored in this film. So definitely looking as we delve a little bit deeper. I'm gonna stop right there.
Okay, I want to come back to, so Black Nerd. Hope I call you Black Nerd. You don't mind calling that. What made you go see the movie? Because you saw it before anybody else.
Fair enough.
The reason, and I know Sadat went to see it on your recommendation. Brother Kofi and Sekou, why did you go see this movie? Or what was the curiosity? Sorry, what's the curiosity to go see it? So, Black Nerd, you can start off.
Thanks. Multitude of reasons. So a big one is I've had, like, going back into 2025. When did the second Black Panther come out? I think it was 2023. I don't think it was 24. I think it was 2023.
22.
2022? Yeah. So I'm very vocal. I'm not going to be shy about things. I have a lot of issues with Black Panther 2, not recasting T'Challa. basically, I guess for the most part, like decentering men in that movie. Like if you look at the poster, there was only one black man in the poster. So I had a lot of issues with that movie. And then, I think a little bit before that, there was The Woman King that came out, which was another very problematic movie that was written. I don't know if you guys know, this was written by white women. So it wasn't even us who wrote the script.
Yeah,
so just seeing a lot of films, how they portrayed us as, as a diaspora, especially those of us who are darker skinned, black men. I thought about, like, yes, I have issues with these stuff, but what am I doing? It's not enough to just complain about something. There's a quote from Iron Man in the comics where he says, it's not just enough to be against something, you have to be for something. So if I have issues with these movies, where am I putting my energy into? So I've been actually getting more invested into, for lack of a better word, black male media. And, for the first time in a while, I have a lot of stuff that I'm actually enjoying watching besides, superhero and comic book stuff. And I'm looking forward to, like, I don't know if you guys seen the trailer for Him. It's a sports horror movie. Very excited for that. Rebel Ridge, which is on Netflix. Sinners, that was a great one. Cross on Amazon Prime. And then I'm looking forward to watching the movie Shadow Force with Omar Sy, and I forgot her name from the TV show Scandalous. So just really, Kerry Washington, there we go. So really investing more time into black male media and how we're portrayed. And that's one of the things I loved about the movie, how we were portrayed in terms of like holistically and fully. So hopefully that answers the question.
I saw the movie because of Sekou. Because Sekou saw it before me.
Okay.
Right. But I also want to talk about the reasons why I didn't see the movie earlier. And I think this happens a lot of times to Black films, is that it's not marketed correctly. So one of the things that I've heard other people say is that I'm not into horror films, so I'm not going to see that film. But it's not a horror film, right? Not to just, and I think those are sometimes the way things are marketed to us. I know there was an issue they had initially that in the States, they didn't have the movie in a lot of theaters, right? And I think, again, I'll tell folks again, it's not a horror film. It's, I don't want to say the opposite of that, but that part of it really is not the thing, right? So I think that's one of the reasons that I didn't initially see it. But when Sekou came home and Sekou was like, Dad, you got to see that. I was like, you know what? Okay, you know what? Let me just check it out. And I wasn't sorry for that.
Okay. Brother Kofi.
Man, well, first of all, when it comes to Ryan Coogler and like some of the stuff that, of course, he's done, I know Eb's on the other side with some of this, but in terms of Panther, in terms of seeing ourselves on film, and depicted in like non-stereotypical roles, for me is beautiful, right? Michael B. Jordan's been doing some amazing things in film, so I'm definitely moved whenever he's behind something, written, directed, executive directed. By one of our people. Like there's a lot of things that are happening here that we don't realize that haven't been happening over a period of time in terms of us in film. So it's like it's time now. So I feel like, again, the next generation that's coming up, there's some amazing things that are going to be happening. So anyhow I can get behind that, and me as an independent filmmaker myself, it's like this is the place to be. So why wouldn't I not only support, put my money behind those tickets, but also take in the story, because it also ties back into our ancestors. As an ancestral healer, these are the things that that move me spiritually, relative to my purpose and the reasons why I'm here relative to community. So those are some of the reasons for me at the forefront that got me in the theater.
Okay. Frequency Event Promotion says, you're all making me want to see this movie now. Is this movie still in theaters, or do I wait until it arrives on Netflix?
Go see it, brother. It's still out. Go see it.
And if I could also add, just on what Kofi was saying, I would call the movie horror light. Like there's some scares, but it's not scary at all. It's very Tim. And like you could wait for it to come on Netflix, but then just like I was saying on how us black men are portrayed in media, we can't then complain about, oh, how come they don't make movies for us, or how come these movies don't get a good budget, or how come these movies don't come theaters and they go straight to Netflix now, because it used to be straight to DVD. Why do they go straight to Netflix? You can't complain if you are a contributor to the problem.
Yeah, go see the thing, people.
Okay.
I watched it honestly because it was all over my social media.
Okay.
I could not avoid it, and I don't like spoilers like that. So I was like, let me just go watch this. So I kind of have the power to like spoil or not get it spoiled. I also saw a TikTok about who Preacher Boy, which is like one of the main characters, was based on. And when I seen that, because I know the story, I think it's a story about like, I don't know if I'm getting his name correctly, but like Robert Johnson, basically the blues player that was like allegedly one of the first people to like sell his soul. And that story was just always interesting to me. So when I seen that, I'm like, yeah, let me go watch it. But it was interesting after finishing it to see how they didn't go bar for bar with that story. Like he flipped it pretty positively. So yeah, that's kind of why I watched it, just because I just couldn't stop seeing the movie on my social media. And then when I went in, there was like a line out the movie theaters.
Wow.
So, yeah. It was great.
Wow.
So can I ask you a question, Sekou?
Yeah.
How does it resonate? How do you think it resonates to your generation? Because you mentioned about Robert Johnson, who's a older jazz singer or whatnot, but how do you think it resonates to your generation today?
The movie?
Yeah, the movie itself. Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Like, you mean what is it doing for people in my age group, or?
Yeah. How is it relatable?
Impact. Well, I think it's opening up conversation. I think that's probably the best thing I would say that the movie's doing, because like every time somebody posts a story, or like when I posted a story of the movie, somebody snapping back, giving their take on it. Like I've spoken to so much people about what they think about the movie, and it's interesting that like it's opening good conversation because people are listening to what other people are saying about the takes, right? Like for example, there's somebody that I spoke to who was like, yeah, I think it's just about like vampires and stuff. And then I gave them my take on like what I think certain things represent. And then after that conversation, they're like, yeah, I agree. I definitely see what you're talking about. So I think it's opening up conversation in a good way, you know? It's not like a movie about slavery direct where it's like that one that we always see. Like we're honestly tired of watching those movies, like Django type movies. We're done watching those. So if you can like make a movie where it's like ghosts, ghouls, vampires, whatever the case may be, we're more interested. It's packaged well, so I think it's getting you to talk to each other about all these topics. So yeah, I think that's how it resonates with us. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. The person hasn't seen. I've got all the questions. So let's talk about how does the film reflect current social dynamics or historical realities?
Sheesh.
Could you say that one more time?
No problem. How does the film reflect current social dynamics or historical realities?
That's a great question.
Once in a while, I have a good one, you know.
Once in a while.
I would say how we are so tied to us as a diaspora, by the way, are so superficially tied to religiosity and spirituality. So I'll give you an example. I was talking to a friend, and he was saying how the actors had to look into, for lack of a better word, juju, right? We all know what juju is, to get prepared for the role. And for that reason, he didn't want to go to the movie, as a Christian. And, my argument is, don't you engage in premarital sex? Don't you drink alcohol? Right?
Come on now.
We keep saying these things. Like, I know some brothers who are Muslim, but you smoke marijuana. You say that you say you will see the film, but when the video game comes out by white developers, Dead Space, which is a horror video game, you'll play that. But you draw the line when we make it, when people who look like you make it. And that goes back into what I was saying with regards to Sammy, Preacher Boy, right? He's being told he has to pick, but in actuality, I was watching a professor. His name is Dr. Ronald Neal. He's affiliated with Dr. T.S. Johnson. He's specialized in religion. He was saying how the call to be a jazz player is a secular calling that is not similar but different from the calling to go into ministry. But we can't acknowledge those things. The reason why those things thrive the way they do, hip hop, jazz, hip hop was a form of news, right? At one point, it's having conversations that we don't regularly want to have. And to be honest, it's the reason this plays a role in terms of why men don't go to church as much. We don't want to have certain ugly, uncomfortable conversations, right? I work with a lot of young people. I work with young girls and young women, and there's conversations that they're not having with their parents. And then we wonder, why are these young women getting pregnant out of wedlock? All these things tied together. We don't have these conversations. Oh, there you go.
So the whole, I mean, the question you ask really is, I think, part of the premise of the movie, and it's a dominant theme between the history and the modern society issues. So, and they do an excellent job. I mean, we won't be the spoiler, but I'll call it the scene, right? And everybody knows what I mean. When I say the scene, everybody here knows exactly what I'm talking about. The scene. So that one scene addresses that question that you're answering, right? And it embodies the principle of Sankofa, the past, the present, and the future, right? And then and it's done in such a creative, ingenious way, right? So that question of the relationship between the historical context, and even it goes beyond the time that they're living in, right? Sekou mentioned, or folks mentioned about slavery time. It's like share just after slavery, like sharecropper time, but Black folks are still picking cotton, right? I guess we're still picking cotton today, but that's another story. But that being said, it goes beyond that time and above that time, right? So I think what I thought was brilliant was, showing the relationship and the oneness of that string of past, present, and future, which again embodies, the Sankofa bird looking back into the past, feet moving forward, and again the mouth meaning the future. So I thought it was just, again, brilliant, the way that that was done on the big screen.
Anyone else?
Sekou, you want to go before I go?
So the question was, how does it tie to present day? Was that?
Yeah. How does it reflect current social dynamics or historical realities?
I would say maybe the use of music and the importance that music has in the film. I think that ties to present day because people are being more conscious with like what they listen to, how music makes them feel, and there's more open conversations about that. So I think, yeah, just music is something that transcends time. So I think like the stress on that is how it connects to present day. There's a lot of like Easter eggs in there that I would say that I like that tie to present day. Just like I'd say like universal Black rules and codes that we still use to this day. So just like even things like how you invite someone into your home, and the importance of that. I think that really ties to it, and that's something I really liked mostly in the film. Just the Easter eggs where like everybody gets it, like there are certain things where I've seen in the movie, and I'm like, yeah, something's gonna go wrong or something's gonna go right, just because I feel like universally as Black people we have a set code on how we do certain things, and when those things are shifted, you can see how the movie took a turn. So I would say one example of that, I don't think this is spoiling, but there was they were painting a sign in the movie, and there was no paint except red paint. And as African people, even Asian people as well, I know in culture you don't write certain things in certain colors, and there's meaning that follows that. You can see that with like wedding traditions, funerals. Yeah, it's just code of conduct. So things like that really tied it to present day because we still live our lives and live our life by a lot of these codes that were in the movie. Yeah.
Huge. So true. I love that. Interesting what you said in terms of the welcoming, how you let somebody in your home and these type of things. We make these jokes. So we're talking about, Black men in Canada. This show is specific from our lens. And we often make jokes to ourselves regarding our US counterparts when they visit. They don't take off their shoes. When they go in their house, leave your shoes on, man. Don't worry, leave your shoes on. In Canada, we're like, what? You're mentioning for take off your shoes. And that comes from the Caribbean, right? That's come that I'm gonna say as far as going to the continent, right? We don't play with that. You have to take off your shoes. And to the degree that we probably even look at that as being maybe even like a white thing, like you be like, yo, we don't do that. But even though it's our Black counterparts coming from the States, right? Or your shoes on the bed, outside clothes, and all these kind of stuff. We hold firm to those things. We don't play with those things, and it's ingrained in us. I think some of the historical dynamics that you talked about in terms of our relationship to white women, the relationship to Black men and white women, and the whole piece around, being pulled into scenarios and circumstances where there's an internal challenge or conflict with being with a white woman, have relationships with a white woman, and understanding that it has other impacts and implications. There's a multiple relationship happening between one of the main characters and two women, right? And one of them being white, one of them being Black. So at the end of the day, it's like the dichotomy that exists there is explored slightly, right? A little bit in there. But it was interesting also, Sadat mentioned the plantation. It's like, we still picking cotton. The reality is some people still call work the plantation, right? People still hold on to that dialect. And there's a couple points in the movie where it's used by Europeans very specifically as a way in. They often say, I have this, right? And then it creates a dialogue with the Black characters amongst themselves to be like, oh, well, maybe we have to let them in then, right? So even down to the end, like one of the final scenes, it's used. Once again, it's thrown out there. Like, I have this. And it's like, yo, like you're on your dude is on his deathbed. Yeah, he's on his deathbed. And you're trying to tell him that you have this. Like, that's going to bring back his life. So to me, like, that's an amazing representation, right? That even at that point, it's still being used. But the beauty is that that's destroyed. And what's embraced is Black love. What's embraced is the Black family. What's embraced is actually fatherhood and the connection with the afterlife and fatherhood, which is a whole another piece in terms of continuing the generation, in terms of continuing the culture in the afterlife. And that was something that was mentioned earlier on in the movie, right? That was said, like, there's something in the afterlife waiting for us. So that, I think that's a very profound piece in terms of how we even transcend things in regards to religion at times, because there's universal truths that we identify with regardless of your representation. We have this perspective on life after death. We have this perspective on a relationship to the other world, even if we don't fully understand what that looks like. It's something that we hold sacred as a community in so many different ways, right? So I feel like those are some of the things that really kind of stood out. And in terms of the power dynamics also that exist in our community, in the aspect around respect, there's respect around elders. There's certain things that were spoken within the movie about certain people that were older and had certain prestige, even though there was, like, with one brother, he drank a lot, you know what I'm saying? And there was a scene where he said something and the woman said, you shut up, you drunkard. And then he just stops, like, first, I didn't drink today. And you got to have some respect. And it's like, we respect. We as a community, we're like, hold on, yeah, it might be Unc might go off sometimes, but he's still an elder. So we hold firm to a lot of those things, regardless of other circumstances.
Oh, one more thing, sorry if I can interject.
Go ahead.
One topic that was very important in the film that definitely ties to modern day was like allyship and how that looks like. Because there was a POC or non-black character that was taken along with everybody, and the community kind of endangered it. We kind of had like the black savior mentality where in our culture we don't leave anyone behind, and I think in modern day that can either be your biggest blessing or your biggest curse, and having the discernment to know when to stop and know when to separate yourself was heavy in the movie, because you can argue, for those who have seen the movie, the ally was the start of the chaos, you know, and I relate that back to Black Lives Matter movements, protest movements. It's like an example is you can let people that are not black into the movement, and then your movement might turn into a business. Your movement might turn into I'm looking for the word right now. I don't know, but
your example was
your movement could turn into a coin, like or just simply just a hashtag, you know. So I think that was my piece on that. I think that's very important. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to add 2 quick comments. Frequency Event Promotion says, Kofi, did not know you were John Singleton in the making. Let's connect. And Nicole says, New York Times had a special section called Anatomy of a Scene, where directors talk about how a specific scene in their films was conceptualized and created. Ryan Coogler spoke on that scene in Sinners. Previously, he spoke on the car chase scene in Black Panther. Okay. All right. Good stuff. Time is flying here. I guess I only have time for one more conversation piece.
I think we might be able to go into overtime this week.
Okay. All right. I just asked him what's everybody is good with that.
100%.
What was everyone's thoughts on how black men were portrayed in the movie?
Excellent. I'll just jump in myself.
Go ahead.
Go on.
One thing I have noted, even when I was watching, and I'll share I think I shared the link in the Discord of Dr. Tia Son Johnson having other men like talk about the movie. No one I've seen so far noted. So the older brother, the one who was wearing blue, Smoke, no one noted his PTSD. So you guys, it's not a spoiler. You remember when he was looking at his watch? His arm was shaking, went like this. And then at the end, when he was trying to roll his tobacco cigar, he was shaking. He was in World War I. This is PTSD. But no one, I haven't seen anyone figure out. They all said anxiety. I'm like, no, this is, I was watching the film, and, you know, with the work I do, you know, we have a lot of PTSD in the community. I'm like, this is a classic symptom of PTSD.
Wow.
Right? And it's very subtle, because, you know, for us as men, this is, you know, this is, you know, sharecropping Southern US, right? This is what, 1920s, 1930s. You know, the idea of, you know, being traumatized is not talked about, let alone now. We don't want to admit those things. You know, we always have to put on like a hard shell. And just even that little nuance that Ryan Coogler was able to put in that we don't really show, and how we also, he was able to show it in how we don't want other people to see within us. Just even that nuance. Or even when he, you know, had the truck and he had the little girl and he mentored her. He taught her how to bargain, right? We don't usually see those films. You know, we're often portrayed as, you know, sexually deviant and dangerous, and, you know, you got to protect the girls from, you know, the you know, all girls and all women from the black man. But, you know, we're seeing him play a very, you know, paternal role with that young girl, and those little 5 minutes where she learned how to bargain and negotiate. Never settle for what other people are offering you. Push for more. Right? Those little nuances that we don't really get to see. Even just the way the Smoke and Sack were able to take care of Preacher Boy, right? Looking out for him. They're not just, they even told him like, hey, you should probably go into ministry rather than play for us. You know, there's always this thing that, you know, you have to protect the boys, because we're gonna, you know, be poor role models for them. But naturally, no, there was actually a lot of pushing and a lot of support, a lot of caring. Even the way Smoke and Stack are, you could see that Smoke was really like the more of the patriarch between the two of them, and Stack was the younger one, and they both were able to build and play off each other, and, you know, they understood each other. So many things, but excellent portrayal.
Yeah, there are levels to it. What I did like about it is that there were the gambit of characters and emotions and roles, different roles that different Black men played. So it wasn't just the one type of thing. Even like what I like was the central piece would have been again the duality, which again is definitely an African spiritual theme. So Smoke and Stack are supposed to be twins, and of course, a distinction between the two of them is one had a blue hat, one had a red hat, right? Which again, if we're talking about Dogon cosmology, for example, um, red means fire energy, blue is water energy, and there's a balance between the two, right? And so we know how the characters, Smoke was a lot more water energy, even though they were both hard guys, if you want to say that, but he was more water energy. You saw him in a loving relationship, with another Black woman. You saw him as a grieving father, right? And then the fire energy more like, Stack was like, yo, we can't make these folks take advantage of us, from the beginning, right? So they had that duality. And I don't want to be a spoiler, so I won't mention next I'm gonna say, but I think that duality exists in all of us. And I will say this, in the beginning there was a lot of confusion because I was like, is that the same person? Right? Because
Same.
again, we were used to seeing the singular person, the singular representation, but the fact that they were, I guess say two sides of the coin, right? Like it was just so interesting how that was portrayed. That's another brilliant piece. Michael B. Jordan, you got an award. There's an award for your role, in the film, because that was just crazy. But I think the other part that you talked about it, Eb, and I think it was still there. If you look at the father of the father that we never seen, the father of the twins, who was supposed to be abusive and whatnot. We never saw him, but we heard the story of that, right? And then we also kind of had that same kind of domineering personality with Preacher's son's father, right? Like, so the fathers are, I think it was a generational thing. Like the older fathers, it seems like, like they weren't really balancing their emotion, they weren't loving with their boys, right? But as Eb said, it seems like this generation passing to the next had more, balance when it comes to emotion and stuff like that. So there's lots of portrayals, right? Even so, the last thing I'll say, I know I'm kind of dominating, but last thing is really even around, they explored issues of depression based on racism, right? That was experienced, right? So Uncle wasn't just a drunk uncle, but Uncle was trying to forget and and suppress some of the real things that he experienced, right? So I thought that was deep as well.
Seiko, you want to jump in or you want to go ahead?
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say I wanted to make sure I say this. I made sure to take note of it. That scene, you can listen to the song if you search up "I Lied to You" on YouTube.
Okay.
Then, in case anyone's curious, because like when I was trying to remember, I was just like, I need to hear that song again. Crazy. So it's called "I Lied to You." And then I just also want to talk about even Delta Slim. Like you saw how the older man, as much as Kofi, you were saying how he was an alcoholic, and he was fairly difficult, but at the same time, you saw how once he was able to kind of for lack of a word shit test Preacher Boy, he gave him the stage, right? There's always this thing where you always think like the elders are haters, and it's like no, sometimes you just have to prove yourself. And I've had times where I've had to prove myself where even like I have a black male manager where I'm currently my new job where I'm working, fantastic man, and I had to kind of show him like, oh no, once I showed like I was really about the community, he saw that, right? And it was the same thing with their interaction. He gave him the stage right away once he knew that he was really about the blues. That's all I want to add.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to pass it to Sekou. I know you probably have to go soon, but go ahead, Sekou. What is your thoughts around the portrayal of black men in the film?
I agree with what everyone has said so far. I think if I were to comment on it, I'd say it's pretty accurate. The good parts and the bad parts. I do appreciate how there was good parts. Just to repeat, just like I like the dynamic between the twins, how one was like a father figure, and how even though the outcome of the younger one, even though his outcome was his outcome, he still listened to his brother throughout all of that. Yeah, I don't want to. It's hard to say without spoiling, but just his natural instinct to follow the lead of his brother, no matter who controls his brain, his soul, his body, it was just amazing to see at the end. Yeah, I don't have that much to say. You guys kind of said majority of the stuff I was thinking, so yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my take.
There's a scene in the beginning, something very simple, but as we're talking about it, I'm recognizing how much it rang true, and I'm wondering how much these little things ring true for us. He was smoking a cigarette, and he lit the cigarette, and he passed the cigarette to his brother. And something as simple, he smoked a cigarette, and then he passed it back to him. There's nothing said. There's no communication between the two of them. But something as simple as that was shared between the two of them, as opposed to one smoking his own and whatever. Little things like that stood out to me in the moment, not recognizing later that they meant something. And when he parted with him, at one point he said, "I love you," to him, and I'll see you soon, type of thing, or whatever the case may be. Again, speaking to this piece around, do brothers say those kind of things? Like in this day and age, how often do you hear brothers saying those things? And in black film and film generally, do we see those kinds of images? These are things that are missing often on film, but they resonate with us. And often we don't have a space. I feel like there's gonna have to be an emerging genre with all these black filmmakers relative to some of these themes, because there's so much needed. Rites of passage is sprinkled so much throughout, even our conversation, what we're talking about right now, the passing on of the older to the younger, the fact that they went to one of the folks that they went to was a young guy, but then they went to Slim, right? Delta Slim, who was, on the harmonica doing his thing, in the station, and they kind of like recruited him. And once again, under the guise of changing your experience or changing your day-to-day experience relative to finances, right? One brother putting another brother on. That was significant throughout. And this is you coming from the city, coming back home, and him saying, "Oh, you're back home now." So it's almost like you took whatever it is that you learned here, went to the city, did your thing, and now you're coming back. Was what Paul was saying about Sankofa, going back to fetch it. They're going back to their roots, their music, their culture, the food, all of these things, the hoodoo spiritual traditions. They're going back to that for it to feed them financially. If you really check it, that's what they're doing, right? But it's all being done from one brother to a next in those ways, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Even one thing I want to add, which I think also is there, is that there's always that dichotomy around being, is it better to be feared or is it better to be loved? And we saw the reaction of many people to them. They were very much feared, right? But we also got to see the balance in the moments where they were loved. But as black men, we walk through the town and it's like, the fear is there. And how do we respond? What does it mean to us? How do we take that on? How does that live in our spirit and our being? Right. So that whole aspect was there about, black men, as you were asking about that, Dr. Vibe.
Okay. I don't know how many people can go for a little bit more time, because I know we usually end off at the top of the hour. Who can go for a little bit more? Sadat, you're good. Kofi, you're good. Iber, you're good.
I'm good.
Sekou, what about yourself?
I'm good.
All right. I want to ask, What emotional impact did this movie have on you guys?
It's given me a more critical lens when it comes to religion. I was just thinking, I had, once again, coming back to the movie. It was a short drive from our movie theater in Oshawa to the home, but my wife and I had some great conversations, and I was just talking about how, white people, Europeans, they're very comfortable in saying they're Christian, and this is not a bad thing. I'm saying this as a good thing. They're very comfortable with saying that they're Christian, but they'll go watch a Thor movie, which is a pagan god. But for us, if we ever did a movie on Anansi, who is like a Yoruba like god, we would be like, no, Antichrist, don't ever bring that up. We'll never go see that. So it just got me to think about that. There's even a game I'm playing, and it's called Tales of Kenzera, and it's like the boy's a shaman. He's trying to bring back his dad. And I can imagine how, not even I can imagine, I know none of my family would never be able to receive that. But this is the first video game where one of the dialect options, like like the voice option, the audio options, is Swahili. But just shaman, nope. We'll just cross out, take it out, never play. You might as well say, you're a Satanist, you worship devil, whatever it may be. So it just really got me to think more about that stuff, and just my own experience growing up. Being a atypical son who was into video games and comic books and whatnot. So it really made me have more of a critical lens of that.
Before we go any further, I just want to get Nicole's comment here saying, also, when the brothers parted company, when they hugged and said, "I love you," I thought that was so rare.
Yeah.
I left the movie theaters happy. That was a feeling. I was really happy. Just to go back to like my first comment, it's like sometimes when you watch these Black movies, besides like the Marvel ones, you know what the ending is gonna be. Most of the times I leave the theaters angry, angry at history, angry at white people, because we don't really get the justice in these movies, and it's clear because they're not written by us or for us. But this one was. So like even just like the last scene where like he had to make the choice between the money and the ancestral realm, which was that in itself is crazy to see on the big screen. I seen it in IMAX, so I was like, damn. Like even the person I went with, she didn't really know like that kind of. She doesn't know that kind of stuff. But I was like she wearing all white in the ancestral realm, like it was just so real. And
nursing
then,
the baby.
Yeah, like what Smoke did to the person who was giving him that choice. I was like they put that on TV. Like I'm really watching that happen to somebody who oppresses. I don't know if that's violent, but I just left the movie pretty charged. I was like, wow, like everything that we're not allowed to do in the movies about us happened. Like I heard Ashe in the movie theaters. I was like, wow. Like, yeah, I was really happy that, yeah, I definitely want to watch it again. But that's the first feeling. I was like almost jumping after I was walking to the bus stop after, and I was like, yeah, good movie.
Yeah,
so I was really happy.
Yeah. For me, it was a peaceful emotion because I appreciated the whole piece around sacrifice, especially without giving it away. We have folks like Delta Slim who made an ultimate sacrifice. We had the twins that made their sacrifice, and referring back to that scene that Seiko was just talking about. The money or the ancestral realm. My daughter, in fact, she was the one who let me know that the whole piece around, she said, basically, Elijah, you have to drop the smoke, right? And his brothers, right, in order for him to get that peace and that release that he's been looking for, Smoke had to drop the smoke. If you know what I'm saying, like we always say, you want all that smoke and all. You had to drop that, right, just for you to be level, to have that piece to cross over. You're at that moment. So I felt very appreciative that that was such a beautiful and peaceful moment, right? Regardless of whatever else was happening. But yeah, so I felt at peace. I think that and similar to what Seiko said, usually you leave the theater, you're upset, but this actually was a good feeling, right? So that was where I was at.
Well,
it's so interesting. Seiko spoke about feeling happy. It's interesting. I'm just tapping in now and thinking, what was my feeling? We can function regularly in society as Black men in our heads a lot. It's easy to do that. I think sometimes when we're asked how we feel about certain things, it's like, what do you mean how I feel, Dr. Bob? What do you mean how I feel? Being able to tap into this space, like literally, what did I say? What did I just say? I'm thinking about how I felt. I'm thinking about how I felt. So how did I actually feel? Why? I felt connected. I did feel joy. I did feel a sense of joy. I felt like, yo, the moment with Aset or Yemeja or Yemeya, whatever name you want to give the Divine Mother, was that symbolism at the end, nursing the baby, which is interestingly enough, in a lot of traditions, the connection between the role that the feminine plays with regards to the resurrection of the men. So in Christianity, that's the whole piece around the resurrection and these kind of things, right? So it's the ability to bring back that that divine leadership, if you want to call it. So I think I think I felt very warm in that moment. I felt a sense of power at the same time with regards to our community and what we're capable of when we return home. And in some cases, that's a symbolic home. And in other cases, it's back to the womb. It's back to creation. It's back to, again, the earth. Like all of these representations are like divine symbolisms, right? So how we return and come back, and then how we're going to resurrect. So how we're going to move up. So yeah, definitely felt that sense of connection, joy, and peace, and empowerment.
Nice. So in the comments section, Frequency Event Promotion goes, okay, I'm sold. I'll be seeing this movie this week. You are all great marketers. Hashtag support Black films. And then we've got DJ J Spades in the house, says, Bless Brothers just getting in. Good to be tuning into the show tonight. Well, I'm glad you caught it, but you missed some good stuff. So what we say, there was an old song called Instant Replay. I know that some people know that. I know Kofi said that. We'll know that song. So we'll catch the replay. Another conversation, and just building on what Kofi Morris just said, what conversations do you hope this movie sparks in the community?
I hope it sparks more open conversations about religion, specifically Christianity, and our connection and proximity to that. I hope it opens a conversation about balance between the two. Because I was reading this book. 1 second, I actually have the book out. Tell the title. Yeah. So the book is called Spirit of a Man. I got it from my Uncle Malik, and it speaks about religion and spirituality and meshing the two. And it speaks about how religion, basically, you find spirituality, and then your religion is the culture that matches that. So I think being open on like accepting where we come from in terms of religion and spiritual practices, and meshing it with the two. You know, I think sometimes um because Christianity was kind of given to us mostly in force fed or like in a time of fear, the way we praise God and our relationship with God is almost like constantly in I need to be saved mode, but not so much in the, like this is my friend, this is uh my father, whatever you want to call it. Just more healthy relationships with religion and culture and meshing the two. So I hope it opens up conversations for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would. I second what Sekou said. I'm perfectly worded. Yeah, I do hope that we can take more. We can spend more time assessing how we approach our collective and differing cultures. You know, African culture is different from Caribbean culture. Caribbean culture is different from, you know, ADOS, Black American culture. Me being half Nigerian, half Trini, I've seen different sides and how things are similar and different at the same time. And yeah, oh, I don't know if that's someone was saying something. Yeah, is this there's differing and similarities in that in terms of one of the things I've always been critical of is how we're so married to our culture. And I would even add how we're so married to our collective religions and just really taking a second look at them. It's funny how I found it very almost like ironic how the reason people haven't or aren't going to see Sinners is the same thing they address in the film, right? You have to choose between being religious and being a blues player. You have to choose between being religious and going to see this movie. It's almost like a fake dichotomy or a fake choice. So it's very funny how, in a sort of meta commentary, Ryan Coogler already addressed this issue within the film, which a lot of people who told me they don't want to see a film, I'm like, that's more of a reason for you to see it because he talked about you.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I want to see more conversations about what does brotherhood mean to you. You know, we saw in the trailer when Stack was on the other side of the door. Doors are very important about letting people in or choosing to let people in or not let people in or guarding. So the door is always important in the film, just to let people know. But the scene when he has to make the choice of, is he going to let his brother in? Right? And then the quote we saw in the beginning, the lady said, "That ain't your brother in there." Right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that's not your brother because, you know, he's going through what he's going through because he was going through it at that time. Right? But is that still our brother? Is it only our brother when our brother is good? Are we only brothers when brothers, you know, are seeing eye to eye? Right? And I think that whole question of what does brotherhood mean to you, I want to see more dialogue around that piece. Right? And also the piece around, you know, when do we let people in? When do we guard against that piece? When is it harmful for community versus when is it helpful for community? But more conversations around that. That's what I'd like to see.
I just want to add up what. So I'll just very quickly from what
Go ahead.
Kofi Sadat said. I actually had an episode on an anime. Ironically enough, now that I think about it, it's about like it's an anime where they have to fight evil curses. I know, ironic. And two of the characters have a very close brotherhood relationship. And, you know, as they're fighting, they develop like more skills, and it was very similar to the. Just to be more spoiler friendly, the truck scene at the beginning of the movie. You know how like they were able to coordinate without words. One of the things that that I've seen is that like because us men don't emote and build relationships the same way as women do, it's often regarded as like toxic or toxic masculinity, which ties into negative portrayals of Black men. But that's a different conversation. And the thing I've known is that I don't know about you guys, but some of my closest, like my best friend, who's the best man at my wedding, we don't talk every day.
Mm-hmm.
But like I remember we played a video game together, and we just had that synergy. Even in the anime, similar to the truck scene, they're able to communicate without words. And that is often seen as almost bad, but it's not. I think for us men, like our closest relationship is when we don't have to say certain words. You can just be in the same room and you know what the other guy is thinking. Just want to add that part.
Nice point.
Two more probably conversation pieces. What did
I'll
this
just
film?
add, Dr. Vibe, sorry, just in terms of some of the things for me, healing together and what that looks like as Black men, as Sadat just mentioned, like in terms of things that we go through and experience, will disappear. Black men will just disappear, go deal with our situation, health, relationships, finances, incarceration, alcoholism, the list goes on, failed relationships, divorces, etc. Will disappear, and then we come back and it's like that period is not going to be discussed and we're just going to kind of move on, but the healing doesn't take place. And you can use any of those themes that I've mentioned. And going back to the PTSD piece, right? We have PTSD connected to all these various different themes in our lives and we never explore it. So healing spaces and healing circles is one of the things that I've worked through myself, worked in and supported, and also those are some of the things that will be again available to community. Accountability. You know, I've spoken to a lot of sisters around issues and challenges around men and accountability, and that we don't hold each other accountable. And the fact that men will be doing whatever it is that they're doing that's incorrect, and another brother won't hold them accountable, and then the sister will be like, "Yo, isn't that your boy? Can't you talk to him?" And we'll put our head down. We'll do anything possible to not even be able to address that. Why can't we address that? Why can't we talk about that? And it's off limits because he won't listen. He's not receptive. They don't want to lose the relationship, A, B, C, and D. And the sisters are over here. The children are over here. The elders are over here bawling because of pains that have come as a result of the brother that's not addressing the thing that needs to be addressed. And we won't talk about the thing. We all know it's the elephant in the room. We don't talk about it. So accountability, transcending fears of our African spiritual traditions or spiritual traditions, period. What is that? Being able to unpack that, right? What is that about? Why are we afraid? Some of the elders would often talk to us about going into Thai, Chinese restaurants. And what do you see at the front of the restaurant? They got their little bowl, they got their fruit, they got their Buddha, they got their whatever. And we will walk by and buy our Chinese food and our Asian food and whatever the case may be, and then go home and talk about, I don't deal with altered, yo, don't talk to me about no African, this, that, do. You just went and bought your Chinese food and walk right over the altar. Or the Indian space, the same thing, the oranges, the Hindu, you go buy your whatever in the convenience store, they have their things. So being able to transcend what those fears are, or at least start to talk about them, and having the hard conversations, I guess, is really what it is. And what's sacred in our community? What do we call sacred? What do we say is that's sacred? What do we hold as sacred? What will we not go against, or whatever the case may be? And being able to unpack some of that a little bit more.
Nice. Nicole says, I know that song, Instant Replay by Dan Hartman. Thank you. Someone knows that song. She also says, quote, that ain't your brother, unquote. Sounds like the language you use when someone's on drugs and they are far too gone for us to save them. I thought about how we sometimes have to turn away and save ourselves and our children. Well put. Well put. One last quick conversation piece.
Yep.
What would you ask Ryan Coogler if you had the chance?
Ooh, that's a good one.
When's the next movie?
Oh, you know what? No, the only I don't want to. But I'd want to get into his head about the ending or the endings, because I would have a different ending to that film. So I'd want to ask him what the rationale was around the ending,
okay,
around that film, and yeah. So it's yeah, I want to ask him that.
All right, who else?
As a nerd, you know, I'd ask him like, "Hey, do you think you could talk to Kevin Feige and direct the next Blade movie that keeps being delayed now? Like how many years now? Like 6 years?"
There you go. There you go. Straight up.
Okay. Kofi Morris?
I think I want to ask what is the film that he's holding back that he's not releasing? The one that he's concerned that if they will fund it or not because of its content. I'd like to know what film that is, because there's a high chance that that's the film that needs to come out. Even with this, he spoke about the challenges around, you know, creating it and the fact that he had to lead into a very uncomfortable situation to create in terms of creative funding and stuff like that. Not knowing what would happen on the back end, he has to step in faith.
Yeah.
Interested to find out what is that film? What is that script?
Could you put this stuff in like the Discord? I actually didn't hear about that.
Yeah, I'll source it.
All right.
Oh, maybe one more thing.
Sure.
That I would ask him, but this kind of ties into something that kind of why I agreed to speak today, because I want to talk about this. I would probably ask him, does the bite have a ulterior meaning? Because I looked at the bite as white supremacy, racism, greed, all the things that affect our community. That's kind of what I looked at, the significance of the bite. That's why I was like, it's not really a horror movie if you look at it through the lens that I think you're supposed to look at it. I mean, it is very scary, but I think we're kind of conditioned to the way our community is and the way it was, so it's not as scary as like it's supposed to be. But yeah, I definitely think there was significance to the bite, so I'd probably ask him about that.
All right. That's the way we'll wrap it, Jim. And I want to say thank you, especially our two guests, for taking the time. And you're more than welcome to hang out with us anytime. Really, really good conversation. Sekou, how can people get in touch with you? Are you anywhere on? You said it sounds like you're on social media. How can people get in touch with you?
I have a brand, so my brand name is Made by Sekou.
Is there a website at all or Instagram?
Yeah. Madebysekou.com.
Okay.
Website actually goes live tomorrow. I'm dropping some clothes, so
okay.
I also have a blog. I have a blog on there, so if you want to read up on some like artists, some stylists from the city, you can check that out as well.
Okay, well, I am just putting that in the comment section for everybody to reach out on. So I'm putting the comment section, and I'm also going to put it on a banner because I want to give you correct representation. All right. And there it is, madebysekou.com. All right. Excellent. I think this is an easy one, but I don't make assumptions. How can people get a hold of Some Black Nerd, man?
Well, I'll put the link. I had a feeling I'm going to ask that, so I'm going to put the link tree.
I got your Instagram.
Okay.
I got you covered there. I just wanted to make sure if there was anything else, but we got the gram. That's there.
I'm literally on everything. I'm not very active on Blue Sky, but I'm really on everything: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, everything. You know, you just got to put yourself out there. I'd say I'm probably most active on Instagram. Personally, I would say I'm most active on Instagram and Twitter.
Okay.
Or X. I forgot to call it.
Whatever they call it these days. All right. With Kofi Sadat, you can find them at nasaojam@gmail.com. Instagram at Maroon. I love that tag. I love that Instagram handle. He's on YouTube at NASA Community, Facebook at paul.osbourne/31, and also on YouTube, NASA Community. Kofi Morris, email getwellstayfit. I like that one too. And Instagram at Kofi Coach _ and Cosmic Wellness Group. Myself, there's my website, The Dr. Vibe Show, YouTube, Facebook, The Dr. Vibe Show, Instagram at the drvibeshow.com, x/Twitter at drvibeshow, and email address dr.vibe@the drvibeshow.com. I'm also starting to do stuff on Substack we'll take care of that at another time. If you want to catch replays of this epic conversation, go to YouTube and, well, the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Also, my website, Paul Osbourne on Facebook, and Nazak Community on YouTube. Gentlemen, I want to say huge thank you for making this an epic conversation. And, well, there's a supporter here. Well, we got, and also you're on Instagram too. On Instagram, made by Sekou. Someone has put that up that you know very well. So there it is on the gram. All right. Anyone has any final comments before we sign it off?
See the thing. See the film. See the film. Listen, I don't want to come back here next week and Dr. Vibe didn't see the film. So see the film, and everybody else who has not seen it.
See the film, support black movies, support black movies that have a good portrayal of black men. Very important. This was on me, but even Magazine Dreams, I didn't see it, but I plan to at least get the Blu-ray or something. I'm going to be getting the Blu-ray for Sinners, Him, all these stuff. Check out Cross. What else was I saying? Shadow Force. Check out this stuff. We got to support our stuff. I think there's another one called, I haven't checked out yet, The Madness. Got it on Netflix.
I guess you're going to become our resident film critic, correct?
This is it.
All right. As always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim better. Love, faith, and respect. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And if you're not making money, make history. Try to do both. And as always, make it better. God bless. Peace well. Keep the faith while good. And Sekou and Black Nerd Talks, we need you back. So make time to come back. Keep the faith.
But Dr. Vibe, can you play?
Time that our parents, they're like, I have nothing to teach you. I don't know nothing.
My dad's at that point now. It says,
That's my point.
But I'm saying, no, Dad, you got lots more to give. You know how cold it is when these two brothers in their yard.
You know that. You know that. You don't know that, bro. You know
no
that.
Joke.
I know we all have these things, but you know what? My go-to is this thing.
Wow.
Black book.
Black Men Talk, Black Book.